Despite their length and scope, one of the biggest criticisms leveled at TV shows is that some characters just fall by the wayside. Now, that's sometimes the fault of the writers or the actors who take on other projects, but regardless of the blame, it has led to plenty of characters mysteriously vanishing from great shows over the years. On the flip side of this, of course, giving a character an ambiguous fate can be a story choice, and one that gets us fans having heated discussions for decades after. So, I'm Josh from WhatCulture.com, and these are 10 TV characters whose fates are never resolved. Number 10, Troy Barnes' Community. Proving that even the most hilarious comedies can deliver savagely agonizing cliffhangers, Community saw Donald Glover's Troy Barnes literally sail off into the sunset, or at least at first. See, in his final appearance in Season 5, Troy takes the late Pierce's sailboat in a bid to receive shares worth $14 million, and all he has to do is sail it around the world. While this initially seems like a happy ending for Troy, a Blink and You'll Miss It news ticker later in the season mentions that Troy and his companion were taken hostage by pirates in the Gulf of Mexico. The fact that Community's final episode aired over 5 years ago without Troy's fate ever being addressed has then effectively left the character in limbo. Was he killed by the pirates? Was he ransomed? Did he get away? How did this turn out? Though fans continue to cross their fingers and toes that Dan Harmon might be able to finally create the much-discussed Community movie, it's probably sensible not to expect anything more than a quick explanation of Troy's fate, given how busy Donald Glover is these days. So as it stands, Troy's fate is totally and utterly up in the air. Number 9, Caitlin Heroes. Caitlin was a relatively minor but undeniably memorable and significant character who appeared in Heroes' second season, as Peter Petrelli's Irish girlfriend who he ends up accidentally leaving stranded in an alternate post-apocalyptic future version of New York. The thing is, though, after Peter manages to get himself back to the present, Caitlin isn't brought back with him and her fate is never addressed again. Somehow, though, it kinda gets worse, as Peter manages to prevent the envisioned apocalypse by the end of the season, seemingly negating that alternate timeline in the process, and so possibly wiping Caitlin out of existence altogether, though that's by no means a guarantee. Fans were baffled that Peter basically just kinda shrugged his shoulders and moved on without making a concerted attempt to rescue her, which series creator Tim Kring later confirmed was a result of the 2007 to 2008 Writers Guild of America strike, causing the season to be cut from 24 episodes to just 11. Kring later added that Peter was originally supposed to mount a rescue effort in the second half of Season 2, though by the time Season 3 started production post-strike, he kinda felt that the moment had passed. Still though, fans haven't forgotten. Number 8, Jack Bauer 24. 24 is arguably guiltier of this than any other major TV show, giving countless major and minor characters alike ambiguous fates just so they can be dusted off should the writers ever feel like bringing them back. But this never annoyed fans more than in the season finale of 24, Live Another Day, the last proper series of 24 led by legendary CTU agent Jack Bauer. The final episode concludes with a brutal cliffhanger in which Jack willingly trades himself to the Russians in order to secure the freedom of his best pal, Chloe O'Brien. Jack gets in a helicopter which flies away, and then that's it, that's all you get. It's now been years since that episode aired, and the recent reboot series 24 Legacy surprisingly made no mention at all of Bauer's condition. And yeah, it is tough to imagine that Jack was simply tortured and then killed by the Russians, if only because Fox would always want to leave the door open for Kiefer Sutherland's return, especially with Sutherland himself expressing recent interest in a reprise. However, at the time, Sutherland did actually ask for Jack to be killed off at the end of Live Another Day, but was stonewalled by Fox higher-ups. Yet, if we never end up getting definitive closure for Jack, it will be a shame that the network didn't follow through with the actor's original request. Jack, quite simply, deserves better than this, and so do the fans. Number 7, Heath, The Walking Dead. There's actually a strange link between this entry and the last, so bear with me for a second. The lovable Heath was one of the Walking Dead comics' best characters, so when he finally made an appearance in Season 6, played by Corey Hawkins no less, fans were eager to see him take on a larger role. However, unlike his graphic novel counterpart, this version of the character didn't stick around for long, vanishing in Season 7 after going on a run with Tara. When the two were separated by a horde, Heath is just never seen again, and to be honest, nobody in the show even seemed to care that much. In the timeline of the narrative, it's now been years since Heath vanished, and there's been no confirmation in any of the Walking Dead shows as to what happened to him. Fortunately, TWD showrunner Angela Kang did explain in an interview that Heath was abducted off-screen by the same faction that took Rick Grimes. But that's hardly a consolation for the fans, and until it's paid off in the show itself, isn't a much better explanation than him just vanishing. We still don't know really what happened to him. Interestingly though, the reason for Heath's absence was that actor Corey Hawkins actually had too many other commitments, including the lead role in 24 spin-off 24 Legacy. See, I told you we'd get to that strange connection eventually. Number 6. SYRIO FOREL, Game of Thrones. Though Game of Thrones became infamous for giving even the most beloved characters brutally matter-of-fact death scenes, fans continue to speculate about the fate of swordsman SYRIO FOREL, who is supposedly killed off-screen in the show's first season after helping Arya Stark escape from the Lannister guards. The last we see of SYRIO, he's preparing to do battle with Meryn Trant with a broken wooden sword, which admittedly isn't a particularly promising look. But if you don't see the body, there's always a way for them to come back, especially with many fans and even Maisie Williams herself speculating that SYRIO may have survived by assuming the identity of the faceless man Jaqen H'ghar. Though creators David Benioff and D.B. Weiss told Williams that SYRIO is indeed dead, there was no such statement in the series itself. Plus, with the Hound even mentioning how poor a fighter Trant was, it only seems all the more likely that someone as skilled as SYRIO would find a way out of his predicament. Number 5. Gabriel DIMAS, 6 Feet Under. In a TV show so utterly immersed in death and depression as 6 Feet Under, there's perhaps no character more tragic than Gabriel, Claire Fisher's on-off boyfriend during 6 Feet Under's first 2 seasons. Gabe is, to be kind, a magnet for trouble, struggling with drug addiction throughout the show and eventually turning to crime, to say nothing of the abusive home he came from and the shocking incident where his younger brother accidentally shot himself dead with their father's pistol. After Claire breaks off contact with him in early Season 2, Gabe is never physically seen again. However, in the Season 3 finale, Claire does imagine a vision of Gabe, who she believes has killed himself in order to be with his brother. Though the vision seems to bring Claire some closure, Gabe's fate was never actually confirmed for the audience, one way or another. Though Gabe was certainly set on a dangerous path the last time we saw him, it is possible that he turned his life around, right? Yeah, probably not on this show. Number 4. Dr. Katherine Pulaski, Star Trek The Next Generation. Dr. Pulaski joined Star Trek The Next Generation in its second season to replace Dr. Beverly Crusher after Gates McFadden's contract wasn't renewed due to quote-unquote creative differences with one of the show's writers. Though Pulaski initially seemed to be a glorified Crusher's substitute, she quickly proved to have a far more prickly demeanor, coming into frequent conflict with her Enterprise crewmates and also igniting the ire of the fanbase. Despite actor Diana Muldaur's game effort in the role, Pulaski made her final appearance in Season 2's widely reviled clip show finale Shades of Grey, disappearing without any explanation thereafter, with Crusher being reinstated for Season 3. Though Star Trek Voyager's series finale Endgame made a passing mention of Pulaski as having worked at the Starfleet medical facility in San Francisco, given that this is an alternate future timeline, it really adds nothing concrete to the character's sudden departure. Given her stern commitment to the job, it's probably safe to assume that she probably landed on her feet, though wherever that is remains a sheer mystery. Number 3. Marlo Stanfield, The Wire. In the second half of The Wire's run, Marlo Stanfield slowly but surely established himself as one of the drama's most ruthlessly unforgiving characters, building a sizable drug empire for himself while refusing to suffer fools lightly. In the series finale, the police realized that the conspiracy to supply narcotics charges against Marlo won't stick due to the improper manner in which surveillance was conducted, and so he actually gets let go on the condition that he no longer involves himself in further illegal activities. Consequently, Marlo's final scenes show him being encouraged to become a legitimate businessman, which he doesn't seem at all interested in, before getting into a street scuffle with some kids who have no idea who he is. Though Marlo survives the show intact, it's left crushingly ambiguous whether he truly quits the game for good or finds himself unable to resist its allure. And given that the show's ending montage basically shows how Baltimore's cycles of crime are never ending, it seems likely that Marlo got back into illegal activities, though whether he ended up as a king, as a corpse, or as a prisoner, we'll never know. Number 2. Tony Soprano, The Sopranos. Surely, no TV character's fate has been more obsessively debated than that of the Sopranos' mob boss Tony Soprano, who in the series finale may or may not have been killed. See, the show's final ever scene sees Tony and his family meeting at a diner as Tony ponders the likelihood of his impending indictment. Just as his daughter Meadow is about to enter the restaurant, Tony looks up and the screen cuts to black, the end. Some have interpreted the sudden ending as an indication that Tony was shot dead by one of the many suspicious characters briefly glimpsed in the diner, especially given Bobby Bacala's haunting comment on assassination early in the season, where he said, quote, "You probably don't even hear it when it happens, right?" Others feel that the ending simply indicates that Tony will be looking over his shoulder for the rest of his life, and the fact that Journey's accompanying song Don't Stop Believing ends on the lyrics Don't Stop has also been interpreted as evidence that Tony didn't die. Number 1. Ronnie GARDOCKI, The Shield. FX's hit cop drama The Shield boasts perhaps the most integrity-filled series finale in TV history, completely eschewing sentimentality in favor of a more realistic and, yes, bleak as hell ending for all of the show's focal characters. And perhaps no single character's fate is more agonizing than that of Ronnie, the most soft-spoken member of Vic Mackey's corrupt strike team, though an undeniably intelligent and resourceful police officer in his own right. In the final episode, however, Ronnie ends up arrested for his part in the strike team's myriad criminal activities throughout the years, due to Vic running down all of their dirty deeds in order to secure immunity for himself and safety for his estranged family. So, the last time we see Ronnie, he's being walked away in cuffs while attempting to assault a distraught Vic. The immediate implication is that Ronnie will go to prison for a very long time, if not life, and effectively face the most prolonged punishment of the entire strike team, despite ironically being its most careful and well-guarded member. Then again, it's also possible that Ronnie will quickly find himself a target of the imprisoned drug kingpin Antoine Mitchell, given his prior crossing of paths with the strike team. Though it's clear Ronnie's fate isn't a happy one, it's just a case of whether he lives the rest of his life in jail, gets an early release for good behaviour down the line, or simply gets shanked for his trouble shortly after going behind bars. So that's our list. I want to know what you guys think down in the comments below. What do you think of these TV character fates, and are there any cool, ambiguous ones I left off here? While you're down there as well, could you please give us a like, share, subscribe, and head over to whatculture.com for more lists and news like this every single day. Even if you don't though, I've been Josh, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you soon.